Hello, welcome to a short guide to TFT. I'm calling this TFT in 10 minutes. It might be a little longer than that. I'm going to do my best to keep it quick though. The goal of this guide is to introduce you to TFT and auto battlers as a whole quickly. I don't want this to be very long. I'm not going to go super in depth on strategies. What my goal is to show you what you're looking at, explain how things work, and then give you resources to learn more for yourself. And so without any further ado, let's get to that, shall we? I'm going to start off with a few absolute basics that are important to know and understand, and then I'm going to go through a series of screenshots where I highlight a different element on the screen in each screenshot, and I'm just going to tell you what that element is. So by the end, you can look at the screen and have an idea of what every thing on the screen is. So let's get to it. First of all, the absolute basics that I mentioned. These are mostly things about units that you need to know that I didn't have a way to tell you otherwise. So you buy units and you place them on the board, and they will fight for you automatically when combat rounds start. Units will gain mana when they attack or when they are attacked, and when they have full mana, they use their abilities. Some units will start combat with more mana than others, so you might see units cast quicker or slower based on that. Something that I didn't include here that I want to mention is that there are 3 types of damage in this game. There is physical damage, which is mitigated by armor, magic damage, which is mitigated by magic resistance, and then true damage, which is not mitigated by any sort of damage resistance. And of course, when a unit runs out of health, they die. I'm going to try and make sure I cover everything. When you have 3 of the same unit, you get a 2-star, which is more powerful. Their ability is improved as well as they get better stats. And if you get 3 2-stars of a unit, you will get a 3-star, increasing these bonuses even further. Lastly, the units have traits. This will be easier for you to see when we get into the screenshots. Multiple different units of the same trait will give you some sort of a bonus. So if you gather 2 or 3 of that share a trait, they will give you a bonus overall. However, multiple units of the same, or like multiple of the same unit, do not count multiple times for this trait bonus. And it's a lot of words to basically say that if you play 2 of the same unit, you don't get double benefits for playing them. And that's important to know, but hard to phrase. Alright, so first up here, top, middle, we have the round panel or the stage panel, depending on what you want to call it. This tells you a few things. Yeah, here, google.com. This tells you that you can see what round and what stage you're on. It's highlighted as to what you have, and you can also see what's next. So for this one, we are on stage 2, round 3. Every stage looks the same. You go through, with the exception of stage 1, I should say. Every stage looks the same except for stage 1. You go through 3-player combats, a shared draft, then 2 more player combats, and a neutral minion round. Lastly, up here you can see how much time is left in the current round. So for example, in this screenshot here, there are 3 seconds left before you go into overtime in this combat. Onto the right panel here, this is like the lobby panel is what I'm going to call it. This is the other players. You're going to be the highlighted one, you're going to be a little larger. And you can see the health of everyone else in the lobby, as well as if they won or lost their last round. Other information will pop up over here, like if another player in the lobby gets a 2-star or a 3-star or levels up, it'll give you a little notification next to their name. And also, if you click on any of these players, you can go take a look at their board. Lastly, over here, there's another panel that I don't show off, but there's a damage meter panel over here which you can click on and see stats from the last combat, which is helpful for figuring out what units are performing well and which ones are not doing as well. Up next in the bottom middle here is the shop panel. There is a ton of information to go over in this little section, so I'm going to start with the shop itself. Every round, you will see 5 units in this shop. It refreshes automatically at the start of each round. You can lock the shop if you want to cancel that refresh. The units that show up are indicated by, or the odds are indicated here, which are related to the rarities of the units. So at level 4, for example, we have a 55% chance to see any given 1 cost in this shop, and a 15% chance to see a 3 cost in the shop. There are 5 costs indicated by their rarities from 1 to 5, and leveling up changes the odds of seeing higher cost, higher rarity units. On the left side of the panel is your current level, as well as the ability to buy experience at a rate of 4 gold for 4 experience, and also the ability to refresh your shop paying 2 gold to see a new suite of units and choose from a new set. Lastly is the money. I'm going to cover as much of this as I can in this short period of time, but basically you get money every round, you get more money if you're on a winning streak, you get money if you win your previous combat, and you also get money for your money banked up. Up to 50 gold will grant you 5 extra gold. You'll see a lot of players aiming to play greedily, as you should, to try and maximize their economy in the early game. Last thing here is the streak indicator. You can hover over this or just look at it to see how many games you've won in a row and how much gold you're going to get extra for your wins or losses consecutively. All right, on the left here we have the origin or trait panel. I don't really know exactly what to call it, but basically this shows you what is active on your board right now. So in my current board, there are 3 mutants and 2 twin shots out. You can't see them because some of them are dead. The traits don't go away if a unit dies in combat, though. You keep the bonus even if someone dies. But you can see here I'm hovering twin shot, and you can read what it does. I have 2 twin shots active. One of them is the augment, which we'll talk about a little later, but I get this bonus. This isn't every trait in the game. However, it shows you all of the traits that you have on the board, even the ones that are inactive. So for example, I have 1 of 2 snipers out, which is Cogmaw. I don't get the sniper buff, but if I wanted to, I have the information to tell me that I could put another sniper in, basically. The bottom middle here has your bench. You can just see the units that you have held over here. Not a whole lot to mention with this. This is just where you store your units. Important to note that you only have space to hold 9 extra units other than the ones that are on your board. I have highlighted these as well. These are the items. You can see on the left here, this is where your items will be held if they're not equipped on someone. It's like a little item staging area where you can hold components. And then on Cho'Gath here is a completed item. He has a redemption. Units can hold up to 3 items, and they will be indicated, like the slots are underneath them. There's only space for 3. This little orb thing, so check out that sick pose Cho'Gath is doing, by the way. This little orb things will pop up when you're in neutral minion rounds. When you run your little legend into them, you'll get a drop. The drop will be either a random item component, or it will be money, or champions. Either way, both of those options are the same. They are both money. I should mention somewhere that you can sell champions as well. Speaking of little legends as well, you have your own little legend. There's a bunch of different ones. Everyone has, most people use different ones, but there's like a bit of a meta that forms. Don't worry about that too much. They have no impact on the game itself. They're purely cosmetic, but they're how you interact with the game. So running into orbs, running into things on shared draft, things of that nature. Oh yeah, I took this picture. I didn't highlight it because it would be kind of weird to put a little, put a box over the whole screen. But I wanted to take a shot to show you how the grid looks. You can position your units on any one of the tiles, and if you were to look at another player's board, you would see where they're positioned as well, as they would be relative to where they show up on your board. So if you get to look at how they would look when they fight you, basically. But yeah, this is just showing off the grid, and you click and drag your units to place them wherever you want. No units take up 2 space in this set as far as I'm aware. There's that white flash. On the left here is the interest indicator, is I believe the best way to put it. Basically, this shows off how much money you're going to be getting passively from money that's banked. This is important to notice because you can use this to see, other players will have this displayed as well. You can use this to see how much money other people in the lobby have. And it's just important to know what this does, basically, even though I already talked about the interest itself and what it is. This is just a visible indicator of it. This is the hex core thing highlighted here. Basically, it shows you your augments, which you'll be picking throughout the set or throughout the game. You can right-click it to see what each of the augments does, and augments are, in short, a passive benefit to your board based on the units that you're playing. You'll get to choose one of 3, and you can see a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to cover it all here. It's the unique mechanic of this set, and it's very fun. But when you're looking at other players' boards, you can see their hex cores as well and see what augments they put in and what they're playing. I think this is the last screenshot. This is a shared draft, or carousel as it will be called from here on. The way that this works is you take your little legend and you run into a unit and you pick it up and you get that unit. The carousel units are all equipped with items, and you're primarily going to be drafting for the items you need to play your comp. Itemization in this game is the most important and most difficult part of it. The first carousel is a free-for-all, so everyone drafts at the same time. Every carousel after that is done 2 at a time in ascending order of health, so the weakest players get to go first as a bit of a catch-up mechanic. Alright, and that basically covers it. Real quick here, because I have the time, I'm going to pull these up. I have 4 extra resources I want to show you. I'm a little bit over my 10-minute target time, but I think that it's worthwhile for me to show you these. So give me one moment, I'm going to pull this up. Alright, I got these here. I'll have links to all of these websites in the description for you, but I wanted to show you 4 really good tools I think you can use to learn the game. So first off here is these are both wallchess.gg. This whole page has a bunch of good info, but this one specifically lets you read all of the traits and what they do. This will, depending on when you watch, this will be changed because they're going to be doing a big update soon. But if you want to just sit down and read through what all of the things do, this is a great place to do it. I think it's extremely easy to read, and it shows you the champions as well, and you can hover over all of them. Similarly, they have this item table, which is really nice. So you can look at it as, I have sword plus rod, what does that make? And you can hover over it and see, oh, that makes gunblade. Or you can do like little item recipe clicks here and see in this way. Both of these are great useful tools to learn just what everything does, because that's gonna it's a big knowledge check, this game. Similarly, there's a little champions tab. I didn't link this, but you can look at this as well. Lastly, for learning the game, I recommend this subreddit, competitive TFT, r/competitive TFT. Specifically, go check the daily discussion thread, because you can find a lot of high-level players' meta snapshot, like spreadsheets that they run. I typically read this one from, I'm gonna butcher this name, I believe it's Solo Gesang. I primarily read this one. However, before you move on to this, I would recommend starting at Mobalytics. This website has much easier to follow guides, because these are going to be, typically these are going to be just, like, here, I'll just click on this actually. I read this occasionally. This is a lot harder for you to understand if you're new to the game. So I wouldn't start here. I would start here. Primarily, if you want my recommendation on comps to learn the game with, I would play one of 4 Arcanist, Lux, or Challenger Yone. I think these are pretty simple, but I'll click on the guide real quick so you can take a look at how it works. It shows you what the final comp is going to look like here, and it shows you recommended augments, things that are good for the comp to use. Shows you items you want to play on your main carries, shows you how you want to play, how you want to level up, and shows you the early game and mid game plan for your team comp. It's The information they have on this website isn't always exactly correct in terms of what's good and how to play the comps. However, it's an extremely good way for you to learn the basics and then start to experiment on your own. And I believe that covers everything I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. I will be reading the comments. I also have been streaming this game pretty frequently, so feel free to pop in. Links for all of that in the description. You can also hop in the Discord. I'd love to talk to you about this game there. Been really enjoying TFT lately and having a great time with it. So yeah, hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you have a better understanding of how to play the game. However, my last piece of advice, if you really want to learn this game, is you just have to play a few games. It's extremely hard to pick up on everything without just playing. I think after like 5-ish games, it'll become intuitive. Probably a little more, but yeah. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.